A few weeks ago on my community page, I ran a poll with 4 2024 releases that I was interested in watching, and after the Horde had spoken, the winner was Baghead. But as I am a lady who is true to my word, I promised that I would also watch what came in second place, which is why today we're watching Cold Meat. But if you don't know anything about Cold Meat from 2023/2024, let me quickly fill you in. David Peterson is passing through the Colorado Rockies during a blizzard. One false move behind the wheel has him waking up inside a ravine in the eye of a storm. But the cold is the least of his worries when a beast starts prowling outside. If you're new here, I go by Hordes and I talk about all things horror here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays. But of course, when it comes to movies that I have never seen before, I am now going to go and watch Cold Meat from 2023/2024 off camera. So that way, if you two decide that you want to watch this movie, nothing will be spoilt for you, because nobody wants to watch a movie you've just watched somebody else watch from start to finish. Also, very quick question, are you okay if I call you all my Horde? Because somebody on my community page said that that's what I should call you all, and I kind of like that and I think it's really cute, so please let me know in the comments below if you think that's a good idea or not.
Christmas? It's not Christmas.
So, I wasn't expecting to watch a Christmas movie in April, but here we are. And fun fact that I didn't know prior to watching this, the director, Sebastian Deruin, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, is not only the director, but he is the writer. He edited this movie, he did the visual effects on this movie, and he did the colour timing, so there is dedication to your project. I will be the first to say that I love a movie with extreme weather conditions, so heavy snow was always going to appeal to me, because we know that there are risks that come with this kind of thing. We're talking frostbite, we're talking loss of brain function, which will impact your ability to make decisions. That's just the starting point. So let's be honest and say that most of us, unless you live somewhere that is well equipped and have these conditions on a regular basis, most of us would not cope in this kind of setting. And I think that kind of adds to it, because this movie, for the most part, after the beginning, becomes a single location movie, and it is very isolating, and the snow does have a big impact on how this movie plays out.
We're snowed in!
David is being added to the list of trash human characters in horror movies.
Ah, the dumpster's here, it's here!
And I can't say why without going into major spoiler territory here, but just know, once things start to be revealed, you will spend the entire movie wanting this guy to die in the most horrendous and vile ways that match who he is as a person, because, oh boy, is this guy rotten to the core. And this is either a good sign or a bad sign. It means he's either written really well and the actor does a really good job, or I just don't like characters like this. I think it could be very hit or miss depending on who's watching this. But if you like this guy at the end of the movies, I have questions for you. But Anna, on the other hand, is one very ballsy lady, and I love that. But her character does remind me of one quote from Saw 2.
If you're gonna threaten me with a knife, you may as well cut me a little.
This is because she spends a lot of her time holding a knife to David's throat, and rightly so, especially as you learn what has actually been going on behind the scenes before this movie even begins. Now, all of this part of the plot is great, but it's when we start to get into the supernatural elements that I begin to have issues with this movie, because they're very sporadic. And when I mean sporadic, I mean we're talking 2 of these like snippets of supernatural element in the first half, and then by the time it gets to, I don't want to say the big reveal, because it isn't a big reveal. When it happens in the second half, the thing that happens, there is no real setup for this thing arriving. Like, can I tell you what the creature in this is supposed to be? Like, absolutely not, because there's nothing been built into the plot to tell me what this thing is that I'm supposed to fear when it suddenly apparently turns up. And when it turns up, it doesn't really have any impact on the actual plot that is happening within the car. And I'll be honest, you put your creature thing on your poster, I want you to use your creature thing within your movie so I know what the hell that it is that I'm looking at. Like, to make a comparison, this isn't like the movie The Ritual, where throughout the movie you get like hints and there's visual signs that this thing is actually real and the guys in The Ritual aren't just like hallucinating. Like, this is an actual thing that they need to fear, and there is none of that build up within Cold Meat. There are many plot twists within this movie, to the point where I think that there are slightly too many twists within this movie. Like, we go from being unpredictable to going full circle back to being predictable. But I will say that the first twist, I did not see that coming, and that is particularly good. I'm about to make a strange point here, but bear with me. It baffles me why nobody, in horror movies in particular, ever has their phone cables with them, or a power bank, because most phone cables have a USB that you can plug into a car so that you can actually charge your phone. And I don't know about most people, if I'm leaving the house for like most of a day, I tend to have a power bank with me that will charge my phone multiple times if I need it. So there is a point in this movie where David's phone is revealed to have like very low battery. We're talking like 10% or less battery. And hours later, the phone is on full brightness being used to light up the inside of the car. So either David has some kind of super battery, or I've found a plot hole.
Was down that big hole.
Visually, I do really like this movie, and it's got a lot going for it on the visuals. I love that it has been lit in this like blue-grey colour scheme, which makes it feel really cold. So it's a great comparison and contrast to Anna's bright yellow puffer jacket, which makes her really stand out in the scenes. However, towards the end, and if you've seen the movie, you'll know the part I'm talking about. If you haven't, it's still not a spoiler. When the car battery dies, the pacing of this movie just drops off, and it feels like you are trudging through knee-high snow in flip-flops. And then going into the end, the ending, it's fine, it's not great. It's not one of those endings that like ruined the entire movie for me, but the ending, it was a bit lacking for me, if I'm gonna be honest. But the very end of this movie, oh, they got me with that last shot. I'll say that. Like, if you've seen it, you know, they got me good with that one. I'm gonna give Cold Meat from 2023/2024, IMDb says 2023, everywhere else on the internet says 2024, a 3 out of 5 stars, because I like this movie, but it does have a few issues. The plot is twisty, a little bit too twisty, if I'm being honest. The setting and the isolation is really good. I like the visuals. The pacing does this towards the end, but I do think that if this movie had had a bigger budget, because it really is a small budget movie, and they could have tweaked the supernatural elements of this movie and added a few more of them into the plot so that when things start to happen, they would have been a bit more impactful. Like, use the thing on your poster. I do think that that's how you could have made this movie just that little bit stronger. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review from my first time watching Cold Meat from 2023/2024. If you've also seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the comments section down below. Are you going to watch this one? Are you going to give it a miss? If you would like to know every single horror movie that I watch, not just the ones I talk about here on YouTube, you can also find me over on Instagram and Letterboxd, where I am watching 150 horror movies throughout this entire year. If you enjoyed the video, maybe like or even stick around and join the Horde. It is free, and I will be back on Friday, not with a 2024 release this time, but I am finally finishing off round 1 of my second chance rewatch series, and I have left the one that I am most nervous about until the very end. So until next time, bye.